Us via the web. My name is Erin Hughes. I work in the GRC Solution Marketing team at SAP, and I'm here to introduce you today to Alpesh Parmar, who will be leading us through a presentation on how Levi Strauss & Company effectively manages their access risk across the enterprise. So with that, I'll hand it over to Alpesh.
Thank you, Erin. Hello, everyone. My name is Alpesh Parmar. I am currently we are basically implementing GRC Access Controls 10.0 as we speak. Just wanted to go over with what exactly we did and why did we decide to do 5.3 implementation and then 10.0 implementation. So I'm just going to go over with all of those items. The agenda is I will give you a background on Levi Strauss & Company. There are some business challenges. How did we manage those business challenges? What are the results? And why did we decide to move to 10.0? Everyone knows about Levi Strauss & Company. It's a global leader in jeanswear and khaki wear. We are based out of San Francisco, and we have around 14,000 employees worldwide. 2010 net revenue was around $4 billion. Selling our products involves 110 countries, 55,000 plus retail locations, and 15,000 brand dedicated stores. Making our product involves 55 countries, 750 contractor factories. So we are truly a global company. We have SAP in Asia Pacific, in US, as well as we are implementing SAP in Europe as of now. So this is our SAP footprint as of now. We have 35 plus SAP systems. ECC 6.0 is in production in US and Asia Pacific. Implementing ECC, BI, BW, APO, PI, XI in Europe as well. We are currently participating in different SAP ramp-up programs, which includes AC 10.0, BI, BW, APO. So we try to stay on leading edge as well. Our current access control 5.3 landscape contains development and QA system as well as two separate production instances, one for US and one for Asia Pacific. Future AC Access Control 10.0 landscape would contain a sandbox, a development box, QA, and just one single production instance. Where we started, we had a lot of pain points, and I'm just going to highlight some of the pain points where we started. We had manual segregation of duties process. So whenever users will use a form to create a request to get access to SAP, we will go through, security team would actually go through and run the risk analysis in Access Control 5.3. So that was a manual process. It was always error prone because we have not customized our rule set at that time. So we were using standard SAP pre-delivered rule set. We were using an in-house developed SAP Access Request tool, which was an info platform. So it did not contain a workflow. Every approver has to go and log into the tool to see if they had any requests in their inbox or not. There was no email mechanism either. Emergency access always on. What I mean by emergency access always on is another module under access control, firefighter or super user privilege management. We had always allowed everyone to have firefighter ID, and that was one of the things audit always dinged us, saying that why do you have firefighter ID always assigned to a user? Lack of business involvement, this was one of the key pain point as well, because business was never involved in request access, SOD remediation process. They did not have any clue about what SOD was about. So that was another pain point, because it was tough for IT or support team to figure out if this SOD made sense or not. Do we need to mitigate? Do we need to remove access? Business users did not understand design or access requirements, how user access works. Provisioning was always done by IT. So security or help desk was always involved in while assigning access to users. That's the sensitive access. So we used to do sensitive access and SOD review as well, but that was also being done by IT and support team. As I said, we were using for request provisioning or request access, we were using the standard manual form, which was an in-house developed manual form. It took us, provisioning took us on average around 14 days. And we had around 584,000 risk level violation. when we started looking at access control 5.3. So then we decided to start a remediation process, and this is what we did for the remediation. Under phase 1, we tried to get clean. So the first step when we tried to get all the SOD clean, we basically assess and customize the rule set, because the rule set delivered by SAP was pretty much a standard rule set. So depending on our business process and our business scenarios, we customize the rule set. Once we customized the rule set, we went through the role level violations. We cleaned up all the role level violations so that we do not see any role level violations duplicating at user level. Then the step 2, we looked at the user level violations. We cleaned up user level violations. We followed an approach where we looked at all the users. We ran a report on SAP, and we found out the transaction codes which users have not executed in past 180 days. So we were able to eliminate those roles or those T codes from the user access, and then we started going back and forth with business and figured out which access is not required for the user and which access we got to mitigate. Once we saw that we are pretty much clean, we basically implemented CUP. So now there was a process in place using compliant user provisioning. Everyone needs to go through, every user needs to create an access via compliant user provisioning, and it kicks off an automated workflow. So approvers approve the request, and also it had an automated preventive risk analysis, which would stop users from getting access which is not SOD free. The step 4 was trying to stay continuous compliance was the step 4, because now we are pretty much clean. We got to stay clean as well moving forward. So we introduced automated SOD review and user access review process, which allows us we do SOD review every 6 months, as well as user access review every 6 months, which allows us to keep users SOD free. And these are the challenges, and we have the challenges I spoke about. How did we basically eliminated them by using or implementing SAP Business Objects Access Control 5.3. First thing is, now we have continuous compliance. So all SOD conflicts are always reviewed and approved by controllers team. So the workflow basically detours to an SOD controllers team as soon as there is an SOD violation, and then SOD controllers team either remove the access or they apply the mitigation. Improved business involvement. This is one of the biggest win for us, because business now owns and approves access to roles due to their involvement during the remediation process. So now actually business understands what the role is about and how the access process works. End users are now trained to request access, so there is no help desk or IT involvement. End users go to the CUP tool, they create request, and it takes an automated workflow and approval process. Real-time visibility, because compliant user provisioning and risk analysis and remediation contains a nice SOD audit trail, so anyone can go and look at the audit trail. On top of that, the provisioning process itself is very transparent, so anyone can log into CUP and look at what happened to the request so far and how the provisioning worked. Now also, by implementing Access Control 5.3, we have automated a lot of process. The most important one is provisioning process. So as soon as the request gets approved by all the approvers, it assigns the roles or access automatically to SAP. So there is no help desk or IT involvement either. And these were some of our challenges and how did we resolve them. These are some of the tables. Users with SOD violations. We had around 1,430 users with SOD violations before implementing 5.3. As soon as we were done, we had 10 users with SOD level violations. Role level violations, we have around 200 roles with violations. After the implementation, we had 0 roles with violations. Total risk level violation, 584,000 plus, and after we were done with the implementation, 119 risk level violations. The biggest improvement here was average time processing the user access request was around 14 days. It's been reduced to 1.42 days approximately, and 65% of them complete on same day. Only the request takes a while when there is an SOD violation, and SOD controller team needs to analyze the SODs and make sure if they need to remove the access or mitigate the access. So overall, I think we achieved a lot by implementing SAP Business Objects Access Control 5.3. Now you guys must be thinking what happened, why did we are pretty much stable, we are live on 5.3, access control 10.0 is being introduced, why did we decide to go to ramp up of 10.0, right? Because ramp up is a journey, and it always, there are always stuff which doesn't work, and there is always a lot of you got to take tough decisions, you need to work with SAP all the time. So there were, of course, there were some challenges with 5.3 as well, and that led us to 10.0. And so I'm just going to talk about 10.0 has a lot more benefits than this, but I'm just going to talk about the benefits which moved Levi to implement 10.0. The main benefit here is the access risk management piece, where we can have now single global GRC instance. If you guys remember, 5 minutes ago I said that we have 2 separate production instances, one for US and one for Asia Pacific. Now with 10.0 we can have one single global GRC instance. And I'm able to say that because it supports multiple segregation of duties rule set, which was not possible with 5.3. 5.3, you can have more than one rule set, but only one of them can be used as default rule set. We have, as of now, in Asia, we have a separate rule set, and in the US, we have separate rule set. So that's why we had to have 2 separate instances, but as of now, I can have one 10.0 global GRC instance, because it supports multiple SOD rule sets, so which is a very big achievement from Levi's perspective. Second is the GRC Access Control 10.0 piece is based off ABAP. I don't know if you guys know about it, but Access Control 5.3 is Java based, so there were a lot of small things which you could not do due to the technology limitation. As it was Java, you cannot apply support packs, OSS notes, you cannot get bugs fixed right away, you have to wait for the support pack implementation. And of course, it does not support the same level of object-based security as ABAP does. So, which gives us a much major enhancement, because we can now have a granular security based on T-code, authorization objects, etc. 10.0 access risk management contains enhanced reporting. I know we went through a lot of pain with reporting in 5.3, especially because we had to download the reports, use Excel to run macros, download the reports in Access to create some more reports which are business friendly. But 10.0 contains the reporting same way as ABAP. It's called ALV reporting. So you should be able to download the reports, massage them easily, as well as 10.0 can easily connect to Crystal reports and BIBW. So the reports are pretty much enhanced. On top of that, you can do customization easily to the reports. Streamlined user access management. This piece is important because it's 10.0 supports template-based request and approval screens. What I mean by template-based is you can create separate request types, and based on the request type, you can have separate templates when the users go to select create request. So in our case, we did not want users to see certain fields when they are creating request for a firefighter request. When a support user is creating a request, I just want them to see different fields or different screen than while a business user is creating a request, which was not possible during Access Control 5.3. Now in 10.0, you can create separate request screens depending on the user type, depending on the system access they need. Maybe you want to implement GRC Access Control 10.0 not only for SAP but other legacy systems. So you can have different screen depending on the request type, system time, etc. Business role governance. This is one of the big enhancement as well. Levi does not have SAP HR, but we try to kind of control users via positions, and it was when you don't have SAP HR, and so there is no way for us to implement position-based security. I tried to do this during 5.3 time, but it was not possible because I could not just add 10, 15 roles to a user via position. In 10.0, you can create a business role. It's called a business role, and you can add as many SAP technical roles you want underneath it. So business role acts like a container, and you have more than one, means so you can have 10, 15, 20 roles underneath it. So currently I have put some of, and I call them as positions because that's how we refer at Levi. So in under some of the positions, I have added 20, 30 SAP technical roles. So as soon as the business user goes to create a request in compliant user provisioning, they select this one business role or position, and they would get all those 20 roles underneath that business role or position would get added to the request. So this simplifies the request creation process, as well as users do not have to find and pick and choose those 20 roles. As soon as they add one role, it adds those 20 roles underneath it. So that gives a major enhancement. But there was another problem. While we were doing that, there was no way for us to do embedded risk analysis on that just one business role to make sure that the 20 roles it contains do not create intra-labor SOD violations, right? Because you want to make sure that the position or that business role is clean. So it does not go to the SOD controller team all the time, because then people will start asking for that one business role or position, and it would start creating SOD violations. So as of now, in 10.0, it contains embedded risk analysis. You run the risk analysis on that one business role, and it will identify SODs coming from all the 20 roles underneath it. Centralized emergency access management. This is basically firefighter, or the new name was super user access privilege management. It's pretty much centralized now. So users or firefighters do not need to log into different SAP systems to use firefighter. Now they can log into GRC 10.0 system, which is an ABAP-based system. They log in to a 10.0, and they would see all the firefighter IDs assigned to them. So from one place, they can log into multiple SAP systems by selecting the correct firefighter ID. On top of that, it reduces the task for administrators like me, because I can just manage all the firefighter IDs, controllers, owners from single GRC box. I do not have to log into different SAP systems to manage all those firefighter IDs. On top of that, this was the biggest pain for all the customers who are using firefighter ID, because there was no way to have a firefighter log report review done automatically. As soon as the firefighter activities are done, GRC would send out a firefighter log report notification to all the controllers. So they got to look at their email and validate that the activities performed were correct. And then there was no way to say that, okay, I have done it. Now 10.0 contains something called FF log report workflow. As soon as firefighter finishes the firefighting activities, firefighter controller would get an email, and they will have to log into GRC access control 10.0 and say that, okay, yes, I have reviewed the log, these are pretty much fine, and I can validate it. So this way, everything is audited, and everything is stored in the audit log for the firefighter log review. So overall, these were the benefits, and this was the reason why Levi's decided to implement 10.0. We are pretty much happy with 10.0, and our go live date is scheduled for May 31st. So in 15 days, we are going live with 10.0. Thanks everyone for attending. My name is Alpesh Parmar.